Before your first breath, before your body even existed, you made a choice. Not a random choice, not a logical one, but a spiritual agreement, a sacred vow made in the realm of light, far beyond this physical world. And now, you're here, in a body, with a name, living a life that feels strangely familiar yet painfully confusing. You've forgotten the agreement, but your soul hasn't. Have you ever looked around and thought, why am I here? What's the point of all this? That question isn't a sign of doubt. It's the echo of your soul trying to remember. Spiritual traditions across time, from ancient Egypt to the teachings of theosophy and the Vedic scriptures, all whisper the same truth. You chose this life, with all its pain, all its beauty, and all its challenges. You chose it because your soul had a mission. But when you crossed the threshold into this physical world, something happened. You forgot. The veil of forgetfulness, known in esoteric teachings as lethe, or the river of forgetting, was placed over your awareness. You began again from zero, and yet, somewhere deep within, a compass remained. Not in your mind, but in your soul. That's why some moments hit you so deeply, why certain places feel like home, why some people seem like you've known them forever. Because your soul remembers the map. It just can't read it through the noise. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had an inexplicable attraction to a person or an overwhelming resistance to a certain situation with no logical explanation? These are soul-level indicators, whispers from the contract you made before you were born. You see, before you entered this life, your soul met with others, guides, teachers, and souls who now walk beside you. Together, you drafted the script. Not every detail, not every line, but the core experiences your soul needed to evolve. Painful betrayals, unexpected losses, powerful awakenings, moments of absolute silence. Each one had a role to play. Each one was agreed upon. But why would I choose pain? Because growth rarely happens in comfort. Because your soul doesn't seek ease, it seeks evolution. And sometimes, the most painful experiences crack open the deepest wisdom. Helena Blavatsky once wrote, "The soul undergoes reincarnation until it has learned all that life has to teach." But she also hinted at something deeper, that the soul chooses its conditions, not as punishment, but as preparation. Manly P. Hall said, "Life is a school in which we are tested. The tests are not punishments, they are mirrors. This life isn't here to hurt you. It's here to reveal you. And you signed up for it." Here's the truth most people never realize. Your deepest struggles often point directly to your soul's original agreement. If you feel lost, stuck, or as if life keeps repeating the same lessons, it's because the contract remains unfinished, and it's waiting to be remembered. You don't need to chase purpose, you need to remember. This video is not just information, it's an invitation to awaken what your ego forgot, but your soul never did. So stay until the end, because we'll uncover 5 powerful signs that your soul is trying to remind you of the deal you made, and how to finally activate your mission in this life. Because this life, as hard as it may seem, isn't a curse. It's a sacred promise, and you're ready to remember it. Take a breath. This isn't just another spiritual idea. This is a truth encoded in your very being. And now, it's time to awaken it. You didn't come here without a plan. Before your incarnation, your soul entered what many esoteric traditions call the Hall of Records, a vibrational space where every life, every lesson, every karmic thread is carefully reviewed. There, you didn't just choose a life. You chose its architecture, you selected the family, the culture, the timing, even the body, not out of chance, but with sacred purpose. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, there is a passage that says, "In between lifetimes, the soul sees its past clearly and agrees to what is needed for growth." This doesn't mean life is predetermined. It means your curriculum was chosen. But how you respond, that's where your true freedom lies. Yes, this is your soul's movie. But you're both the actor and the screenwriter. And the script is still unfolding. Think about the difficulties you've faced lately. Are they random, or are they patterns? Do certain wounds keep resurfacing? Do the same types of people reappear in your life, with different faces but the same energy? These aren't coincidences. They're mirrors, reflecting the very lessons your soul agreed to learn in this lifetime. Not to punish you, but to awaken you. Each challenge you meet is like a locked door. And the key, it was placed inside you before birth. You just forgot where you hid it. Carl Jung called this inner map the self, the totality of who you are beyond ego, beyond persona. He believed that life brings us symbols, events, and people that activate forgotten truths within. And isn't it interesting that the things that hurt the most and often reveal what matters the most? Blavatsky wrote in The Secret Doctrine, "Karma is not cruel, karma is education, and education requires tests." So when life seems to repeat itself, when nothing seems to click, ask yourself, what am I being asked to see differently? Your soul doesn't repeat for no reason. It repeats until it remembers. Let's go deeper. Why did you choose this era? This strange, chaotic, digitally saturated time in history? Because your soul was ready for the noise. You weren't meant to awaken in a monastery or a cave. You came here to awaken in the middle of distraction, to find stillness in the chaos, truth in the illusion, light in the noise. That's spiritual mastery, and only the bravest souls sign up for that. Where maybe you've always felt different, not fully at home in this world, not fully understood by others. That feeling? It's not a flaw, it's a memory. It's your soul remembering that it doesn't fully belong here, because it's been elsewhere, because this isn't your first time around. But this time you came to graduate, and that's why the lessons feel harder. That's why the mirrors are sharper, because you're closer than ever. But you must be careful not to fall into spiritual amnesia again. The world will try to distract you. It will tempt you with comfort. It will tell you to silence the whispers. But your soul has waited lifetimes to remember. Don't ignore it now. You have dreams for a reason. You have pain for a reason. You have a voice for a reason. And they all point back to the contract. Let's be clear. You didn't come here to be perfect. You came to be real, to shed illusions, to reclaim the power you gave away in other lives, to finally see what you refused to see before. And you don't have to remember the full contract right now. You just have to listen to the next sign, the next emotion, the next truth rising from within. Because every time you say yes to your inner knowing, you activate a piece of that forgotten agreement. You don't need another external answer. You need to turn inward and feel the truth pulsing in your soul. You chose this life, not because it would be easy, but because it would awaken your essence. And now, you're awakening. So, stay with me. In the next block, we'll explore 5 powerful soul-level signs that you're on the edge of remembering your sacred mission, because once you see the signs, you can never unsee them again. And that's where the real journey begins. Not all awakenings begin with lightning. Some begin with discomfort, some with a whisper, some with a slow, aching feeling that something about life doesn't make sense anymore. If you're here, reading this, chances are your soul is beginning to remember, and these 5 signs might confirm that the veil is lifting. Let's begin. 1. You're feeling an intense pull toward the mystical, and you don't know why. Maybe you've never considered yourself spiritual, yet suddenly you're drawn to ancient texts, sacred geometry, past lives, or the wisdom of mystics like Blavatsky, Casey, or even the Hermetic principles. This isn't random curiosity, it's resonance. Your soul is hearing its own language again. You're remembering the paths you've walked in other lives, the temples, the teachings, the symbols that once guided you. And when the soul remembers, the mind can no longer pretend to be satisfied by the superficial. This pull is your first sign. You're being invited to reclaim ancient truths you once embodied. 2. You can't tolerate what you once accepted. Certain friendships feel fake. Certain jobs feel meaningless. Small talk becomes unbearable. You crave depth or silence. This isn't you becoming negative or antisocial. It's your soul shedding what no longer aligns with its mission. As the contract starts to activate, your energetic field changes. And with that shift, anything that no longer supports your evolution begins to crumble. It can feel lonely, but this is sacred. You're creating space for who you're meant to become. 3. Time feels distorted. You might feel like time is speeding up or slowing down. You might forget what day it is. You might look at the clock and see repeating numbers, 11:11, 2:22, 4:44. Blavatsky believed that once a soul begins to awaken, it becomes more attuned to the non-linear nature of time. You stop living by the clock and start feeling the rhythm of your soul. This distortion isn't dysfunction. It's alignment with something greater than the calendar. It means you're starting to live outside of ego and inside the eternal now. 4. You begin to sense that pain has a purpose. Your past used to feel like a wound. Now it starts to feel like a map. Suddenly the betrayals, the heartbreaks, the childhood traumas, they aren't just bad luck. They're lessons, chosen, sacred, transformative. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in perception, that's your soul stepping back into its power. You are no longer the victim of life. You're the alchemist of your story. 5. You can no longer be who you were. Even if you try, this one's the most terrifying and the most beautiful. You try to go back to your old life, old habits, old beliefs, old distractions, but they don't fit. It's like wearing a costume that used to feel natural and now feels suffocating, because once the soul starts to awaken, there is no return. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, known too clearly. Your life is no longer about survival. It's about sacred remembering. And the truth is, even if you could go back, you wouldn't want to. So if you're experiencing any of these signs, your soul is already on the path home. Don't rush it. Don't force clarity. Instead, stay open. Watch your dreams. Follow your intuitive nudges. Let the old dissolve, even if it hurts. Because what's coming next is not a breakdown. It's a return to the version of you that existed before fear, before programming, before this body. Now let me ask you something. When you look at the events of your life, and do you sense a pattern, a deeper order, or maybe a whisper that's been there all along saying, you came here for this? That whisper is about to get louder. And in the next block, we'll go even deeper into the soul contract itself, what it really means, how it works, and how to stop sabotaging the mission you chose before you were born. Because it's not just about remembering, it's about responding. Before you had a name, before your body was formed, before your first breath entered your lungs, your soul was already awake, and it knew what this lifetime would be. Yes, you chose it, but not with your mind. You chose with a higher intelligence, one that sees beyond comfort, beyond logic, beyond fear. This choice wasn't random, it wasn't punishment, it was precision. Let's remember what that means. The soul contract isn't a prison, it's a blueprint. When people hear soul contract, they imagine something rigid, as if fate controls everything and there's no free will. But the truth is deeper and far more empowering. Think of it like this. Your soul designed a map before entering Earth. It included major themes: abandonment, betrayal, illness, loss, love, awakening. But how you navigate the map, that's up to your conscious choices. You're not trapped, you're trusted. You're not being punished. You're being invited and to master something, to turn wounds into wisdom, pain into presence. Why do souls choose hard lives? It seems unfair, right? Why would a soul choose a childhood full of trauma, or a body that feels like a burden, or a world so full of chaos and division? The answer is not simple, but it is powerful. Some souls come here to clear karma. Others come to teach, to break ancestral patterns, or to activate others. Helena Blavatsky once said that suffering is the refiner of the soul, a sacred fire that removes the false self and reveals what is eternal. If you've walked through fire, it's not because you're cursed, it's because you're capable. You've been given the alchemist's path, one that transforms darkness into gold. The role of soulmates in your contract. Not all soulmates are here to love you gently. Some come to trigger you, to betray you, to leave you, so that you can finally return to yourself. Every soul you meet was known before you met them in this lifetime. Some agreed to love you, some agreed to challenge you, some to mirror your deepest wounds. It's not about blame, it's about awakening. Your deepest heartbreak may have been your greatest teacher, one your soul chose to help you remember who you are. Signs you're breaking the contract without realizing it. Now, this is important. While the contract is sacred, you still have free will. And free will means you can ignore the call, you can stay asleep, you can resist your purpose over and over again. But the consequences aren't punishment, they're disconnection. Here are signs you may be resisting your contract: chronic dissatisfaction, repeating toxic patterns, feeling off no matter how much you succeed, deep envy of others walking bold spiritual paths, a gnawing feeling that you're meant for something else. These are not failures, they are alerts from your own soul. They say, you're off the path, but you can return, always. How to realign with your contract. If you're ready to remember what you came here for, start here. 1. Silence the noise. Spend time alone, no distractions, just you and that quiet voice within, the one that's been whispering all along. 2. Follow the pain. Wherever it hurts the most, there's something sacred there. Look closer. There may be a lesson wrapped in sorrow. 3. Write to your soul. Ask it questions. Let the answers come, not from your mind, but from your knowing. 4. Pay attention to what moves you. The books, the people, the stories that stir something ancient inside you. These are breadcrumbs. 5. Let go of who you should be. The contract was not made to please society. It was made to liberate you, so drop the masks. And finally, 6. Speak the truth you were born to speak, even if your voice shakes, even if no one understands, even if it makes you different. Because your contract is not a job, a title, or a goal. It's a vibration, a frequency, a signature only you can embody. And when you live in alignment with it, life starts responding in miraculous ways. So now let me ask you, what if the thing you've been avoiding is exactly where your power lives? What if that fear is a gateway? And what if you're not lost? You're being led. In the next block, we'll explore the forgotten truths about why most people never remember their contracts and the subtle forces that keep us asleep, even when we think we're awake. Because remembering is just the first step. Living it, that's where the transformation begins. If you chose this life, if your soul made an agreement, then why don't you remember? Why are we born with no recollection of who we are, where we came from, or why we're here? This isn't a flaw in the system. It's the design. And once you understand why, everything begins to make sense. The veil of forgetting, a necessary illusion. When a soul incarnates, it passes through what mystics and ancient traditions call the veil. It's a metaphysical filter, a layer of forgetting that separates your eternal memory from your earthly experience. Why? Because the forgetting creates the conditions for true free will. If you remembered every past life, every lesson, every purpose, you wouldn't be making choices, you'd be following a script. The forgetting gives weight to your choices. It allows you to feel lost, so that finding your way means something. Pain becomes real, growth becomes earned, compassion becomes sacred. Without the forgetting, there would be no true evolution. Spiritual amnesia and the role of the ego. The ego isn't evil. It's your earth-based operating system. It keeps you safe. It gives you identity. It helps you survive. But the ego has no interest in your soul's contract. Why? Because the ego fears discomfort, and your soul chose growth, not comfort. So from the moment you're born, the ego begins shaping your sense of self. You are this name. You are this story. You are what happened to you. You are your achievements, your failures, your body, your past. None of this is true, but it becomes your prison until you start questioning it. And when you do, the ego fights back. It wants certainty, not transformation, but your soul. It came here to burn the false and reveal the real. The system that keeps you asleep. Let's go deeper. Forgetting your soul contract isn't just personal, it's also systemic. We live in a world that reinforces forgetting. Education teaches memorization, not intuition. Media glorifies image, not essence. Religion often replaces direct experience with dogma. Society rewards conformity, not inner knowing. From a young age, you're taught to look outward, for validation, for truth, for purpose. But your contract was never outside you. It was coded in your being, in your longing, in your restlessness, in your resistance. The system doesn't benefit from awakened souls. Because awakened souls now can't be manipulated. They don't buy what they don't need. They don't chase empty dreams. They don't play roles they never chose. They remember, and remembering is a rebellion. The signs: you're starting to remember. Even if you don't recall the exact words of your soul contract, you felt echoes of it. Here's how it shows up. You feel different, like you never quite fit in. You've had strange déjà vu or vivid dreams that feel like messages. You feel drawn to ancient wisdom, spiritual texts, or metaphysical ideas. You've experienced breakdowns that led to breakthroughs. You feel like your life should mean something more, but can't explain why. These aren't random. These are activations. And once you've been activated, you can't go back to sleep. Not really. You might try. You might numb it, but something inside you keeps whispering, wake up, there's more. Why remembering can feel painful. Here's the paradox. Remembering your soul contract isn't always blissful. At first, it can hurt because you start to realize how many years you lived by someone else's rules, how much of your pain was purposeful but not personal, how your comfort zone was really a cage, how your potential has been waiting and waiting and waiting. There's grief in that. There's anger, but there's also power, because with every layer you remember, you reclaim a part of yourself, and slowly the pieces click into place. You realize the things that broke me were the things that woke me, and now you are not broken. You are becoming. The courage to remember and act, knowing you chose this life, is only the beginning. The real shift happens when you choose it back. That's when alignment starts. Synchronicities, soul connections, moments of peace you can't explain. And yes, life still brings challenge, but now you see the meaning inside the mess. You're no longer reacting, you're remembering. And from that remembrance, you create new realities. Because remembering is not about escaping the world, it's about transforming your relationship to it. You start living from the inside out, not the outside in, and that changes everything. In the final block, we will explore what happens after you remember and how to fully embody the mission your soul came here to fulfill, because remembrance without embodiment is like reading a map but never walking the path. You didn't come here just to know the truth, you came here to live it. You've remembered. Not everything maybe, but enough to know this life was no accident. Enough to feel the stirring inside you, a calling that won't be silenced, a knowing that whispers in moments of stillness. There is something you came here to do. Now the question becomes, how do you live it? How do you turn soul memory into soul mission? Step 1. The alignment begins within you. Were never meant to change the world by force. You were meant to change your frequency and let the world respond to it. Your mission doesn't begin by doing. It begins by being. By becoming the clearest channel for your soul's energy to flow through. That means releasing what no longer matches your vibration. Relationships that drain you, habits that numb you, thoughts that shrink you. You are not here to fit in. You are here to resonate. And when you align your outer world with your inner truth, your path starts unfolding without force. Synchronicity is not magic. It's the result of remembering who you are. Step 2. Let the past be the teacher, not the anchor. You didn't come here to relive your pain. You came here to transform it. The wounds you carry, the patterns you keep repeating, they're not signs of failure. They are maps. Your soul chose certain struggles not to punish you, but to sharpen you. Because what you heal, you liberate in others. The moment you look at your pain and say, this was part of the plan, is the moment you reclaim it. You become the alchemist. You turn grief into wisdom, anger into clarity, confusion into awakening. Your story doesn't define you, it refines you. Step 3. Follow the trail of your soul's clues. The universe didn't leave you without guidance. It left you clues. In your dreams, in your curiosities, in the patterns that keep showing up. Have you noticed how certain themes keep finding you? Maybe you're drawn to ancient texts, or you feel peace near nature or animals, or you get emotional around injustice or suffering, or you've always felt a pull toward healing, teaching, creating. These aren't random interests. They're echoes of the blueprint your soul brought with it. If something lights you up, follow it. Because joy is not a distraction. It's a compass. And when you follow that thread, you find the part of you that never forgot. Step 4. Anchor it into action. Many spiritual seekers get stuck here. They awaken, they remember, but they don't embody. They keep waiting for the perfect sign or more clarity. But what if the clarity comes after the action? Your mission doesn't have to be grand. It has to be true. Maybe your soul came to break a generational pattern, or to raise a child with more consciousness, or to create something that shifts others, or simply to be a presence of peace in a chaotic world. It's not the size of the act, it's the vibration behind it. What matters is this: are you living from your soul or from your script? Only one leads to fulfillment. Only one echoes beyond this lifetime. Step 5. The contract is alive and ongoing. Here's what most people don't realize. Your soul contract isn't a list you check off. It's a living agreement. It evolves as you evolve. Each choice you make either deepens your alignment or delays it. And that's okay, because delay is not failure, it's redirection. There is no punishment in this process, only feedback. When something feels wrong, it's not to shame you, it's to redirect you. When something feels right, it's your soul whispering, yes, this is it. You don't need to control everything. You just need to stay connected, keep listening, keep adjusting. Keep choosing your path with presence, and above all, keep remembering. You chose this life, and now you choose again. This moment right here was part of your plan. Hearing these words, feeling what you feel, your soul knew this would come. Maybe you've been waiting for a sign, maybe this is it. You don't need to know the whole map, you just need to take the next true step. Because every time you live from truth, you activate the path. You become the contract in motion. The remembering becomes real. And one day you'll look back and say, now I understand why I chose it all. Not just the beauty, but the chaos. Not just the mission, but the forgetting. Not just the call, but the silence before it. Because it was in the silence that your soul grew strong enough to remember. And now you are ready to walk fully in what you chose. If these words stirred something in you, tell us in the comments. I choose to remember my soul's agreement. And if you feel someone you love is ready to awaken, share this message with them. Let's walk each other home.